The disappointing 2023 season for the Yankees continues on Tuesday night as they look to snap an 8-game losing streak. But on Monday, the Bronx Bombers, they made a trio of promotions that could give Yankee fans some juice over the final 38 games of the season. So let's break it down with New York Post sports reporter Dan Martin, who joins me now. Dan, how you doing?
Good, Dex. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Better than the Yankees these days, who've lost 8 in a row, but some good vibes on Monday, at least I hope. We're going to get right into it, Dan. The Yanks, they bring up 2 prospects to the show, outfielder Everson Periera and infielder Oswald Peraza. Will both players get the opportunity to play every day, and what can these 2 young players bring to the ball club right now?
It looks like they will get regular playing time, if not every day. I mean, Periera can slide right into left field where the Yankees have had problems all year long, even dating back to last year before they traded for Andrew Benintendi, and then this year they just haven't been able to sort that position out. So they've been waiting for him to come up. He was ranked the number 3 prospect in the organization. He's had a really good year at AAA. So, he's a good defensive player. So they've tried Billy McKinney. They've tried Jake Bowers. They've tried Frenchie Cordero. They've got a lot of quadruple A type players that have spent a lot of time out there. And so now they're going to go with the young guy. They think he's got enough experience in the minors. So he's set to make his debut. And, they really have nothing to lose, especially with someone like him, because he's not bumping someone else out that they've relied on. So I think he's a very intriguing prospect that fans have been waiting a while to see.
All right, we'll see how that goes with Periera. And other news that came down on Monday is the Yanks also promoted Jasson Dominguez to AAA. Now, the 20-year-old, he's had a lot of hype surrounding him since the team signed him at 16 out of the Dominican Republic. Are the Yankees still high on Dominguez, and is there any chance that fans will see him with the big club this season?
I'd say it's hard to see him coming up to the majors this soon. They like to let their prospects spend some time at each level before they bump them up. So this will be his first experience at AAA. There's about a month, maybe a little bit less in the minor league season. So it makes sense for him to kind of get his feet wet at that level and then probably start next year there as well. But yeah, they are still very high on Dominguez. There's been some question about whether he'll remain a switch hitter, but he's improved in that capacity as well. So yeah, they like him a lot. Now, depends on what their needs are in the offseason. Obviously, this season did not go according to plan at all. So there's going to be a lot of changes in the offseason. And does he fit into next year's plans, or does he fit into a trade plan? He's, according to some people, untouchable in the organization. But, I don't always believe that. So, yeah, they really like this kid. He's only 20 years old. He's developed pretty well. Like you said, he signed when he was 16 years old. Over $5 million. It was a big, big deal when he signed. The issue with that sometimes is, fans hear about this kid and they want to see him right away. So it seems like it's taken him a long time to get here, but really he's developing at a good pace. And, whether he gets here next year or the year after, he'd still only be 22 years old, switch hitting, maybe a center fielder, maybe a corner outfielder. He could definitely, be a big part of their future.
It could be. Yankee fans hoping for that. Heard a lot about Dominguez over the last couple of years. On Tuesday, Carlos Rodon, he's going to make his first outing since his most recent stint on the injured list. You spoke to an AL scout who took a look at Rodon's struggles this season. What did that scout find about the Yankees lefty?
Well, there's no real definitive answer as to why he's been so bad this year. The scout was saying his stuff is not that much different than it was the last 2 years when he was one of the best pitchers in baseball. The velocity is there. The stuff is pretty much there. It's just missing something, missing that little bit of oomph that puts hitters away. He has a 4-seam fastball that was one of the best pitches, if not the best pitch in baseball the last 2 years. And it's been a below average pitch actually this year, in terms of how hitters have performed against it. They've slugged well against it. He hasn't been able to strike anyone out. His command has been off all year. So you don't need to be a scout to see these things. Whether it's lingering health issues, he had the forearm strain in the spring, and then back issues also in the spring, and then this hamstring issue. I'm sure he's healthy, but he just hasn't been Carlos Rodon. When they were initially bringing him back, Aaron Boone said, we just want him to be him, and they just haven't seen that guy yet, the guy that they gave $162 million to. And, it's a concern because this is the end of the first year of this contract, and he's shown no signs of being the pitcher that he was last year with San Francisco or the year before with the White Sox. And, I think they would really like him, obviously, to pitch well down the stretch, but maybe give himself a good feeling going into the offseason so he doesn't have to answer all these questions heading into spring training next year if he doesn't perform well over these last 5 or 6 starts of the regular season.
Hey, you're right. If he doesn't, there will surely be a lot of questions heading into 2024 about how he fits and what he can do in the Yankees starting rotation. And last thing here, Dan, with these moves that we talked about, with the young players being promoted and the team 9 games out of the final wildcard spot, it would appear the Yankees are kind of waving the white flag here. So what do these moves mean for the rest of this season and for 2024?
I think, that they're still trying to win. They're not shutting anyone down as of yet. Aaron Judge is still playing through the toe injury. Garrett Cole's still pitching on every turn. So until they're eliminated, I don't see them pulling back very much. But what they're doing hasn't been working. So why not bring up these 2 young kids? And I would not be surprised to see a couple more in September when the rosters expand to 28. Austin Wells is a catcher who's hitting very well at AAA. He's another guy that, could be part of their plans in September. Look, I think they have realized that it's just about over for this year. So why not maybe get a spark from these young kids and get a sneak preview of what they have for next year, whether these guys can be a big part of 2024 or whether they have to retool even more than they thought and get some fresh blood for next season, because clearly a lot of changes need to be made both on the field, off the field, because this season has been a disaster.
Yeah, it has not been a fun one for Yankees and their fans as well, too. 38 games left in the season. We'll see if they bring up some more young players and what's going to go on with that. That is Dan Martin, sports reporter for the New York Post, on top of the Yankees coverage here. Dan, always good to talk to you. Thank you for the time. Appreciate it, man.
Thanks, Dex.